years? What have you done? And what do you want 4 more years to do? To mash up more, mash up the economy. I heard Miss Diane had that as well, saying that they are destroying Tobago's economy. How long would we allow them to continue? Now, I have walked with Mr. Morris in his area. Good night to the young people. It's good to see you all. I have walked with Mr. Morris in his area, and I could safely say that Mr. Morris gets the work done. I remember walking in his area with another candidate during the Tobago West 2020 election and the 2025, is it 2020 election? I remember walking with him. And we were going up to our house. And the lady said, oh, nobody come up here, nobody come up here. And we say, you don't want to see the candidate? You don't want to have a discussion? She said, no, it's all right, 𝐂𝐿 passed already. And everywhere we went, they said to us, 𝐂𝐿 either pass, he said he go pass back, or he coming. 𝐂𝐿 has been putting in the work. And I dare anybody in any part of Tobago to say 𝐂𝐿 has done nothing. I have always said, if you put together the work of all the other candidates, put together all the things that they have done, and put together the work of our one candidate, Mr. 𝐂𝐿 Morris, they cannot walk a day in his shoes. He has came and he has been creative. He has been innovative in his ideas. And though they have locked him out of certain resources to give to his people, to you the people who the resources belong to, they have locked him out from doing that. He still finds a way to get it done. So I was reminded that this is not a rally. It is a reasoning among family about how we would rebuild our communities from the ground by putting together first again. And I like the sound of that. Say we putting together Tobago first again, right? So as we continue with this evening's proceedings, I want us to stand, because by this time he deserves us to stand. I see somebody else calling themselves Tobago Prime Minister, but this is our flagship Prime Minister. So let's stand and welcome our candidate, Mr. 𝐂𝐿 Morris, as he gives an introduction to himself.
Hey, we got this. Hey, hey, hey. I cannot wait for election morning. Tell them why. Tell them why. And they've been down to me elbow, darling. From Slave to Canaan.
And we will keep standing and we will keep clapping as we introduce our political leader, Mr. Ansel Dennis. Thank you, our PNM family. I love the energy inside here today. Is a whim thing or what? What it is? All right. So I want to welcome all those who have just joined the meeting. I also want to say a special thank you to 𝐂𝐿's office staff. Marilyn, Rhonda, Mommy, I see the family here, Monique. They have also been a pillar in this Minority Council office, and we want to give them a special thank you. Stephen Isaac as well, always with us. So I want to ask Mr. Morris to do his introduction. He needs no introduction, but he has to give it to our listening audience. Good night to our listening audience as well. So 𝐂𝐿 Morris, take it away.
Warm welcome, and let me also say a special good night and a warmly welcome to our next Chief Secretary, my brother Ansel Dennis. To my fellow colleagues and candidates, I also want to recognize you each individually and thank you for being here with us this evening. My PNM family, my WIM family, my Darrell Spring WIM family and Tobago family, both here present and online, I want to say a special good night. For me, tonight is a night of thanksgiving. And it is a night of thanksgiving because I recall quite vividly the night of the elections and the feeling of disappointment and despondency that I felt as firstly a candidate, as a member of the People's National Movement, and as a Tobagonian. And I remember going to my bed that night, and could be about 4:30, 4:45 that morning, I heard a voice. And that voice, without even recalling the scripture immediately, heard a voice said, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will hold you with my right hand of righteousness." And while I'm a very God-fearing person and someone who my Sunday school days would have stayed with me, you know, to my memory, I recall the scripture right away, and it's like I heard it whispered, Isaiah 41:10. And I wasn't too sure, so I went to my phone immediately to get the reaffirmation and the confirmation that it was in fact Isaiah 41:10. And I was like, what is this message about? And from there, I then recall one of my wife's close friends, because apparently she was trying to call my wife, but by that time, everybody was out sleeping. And I remember seeing a text saying, "You know you won." And I'm saying to myself, but I thought the last thing I saw on Channel 5, it appeared like it was a whitewash. And then I saw, but it went down further to say, "You would get a call because you won by 3 votes. And as history would have it, I did receive the call, and that call confirmed that I, in fact, won by 3 votes, making me the lone PNM candidate in this Tobago House of Assembly. And of course, having now to be the standard bearer carrying the PNM flag at the time. And right away, there was a sense of excitement and a sense of genuine fear as to whether I can do it and whether I had the capacity to do it. And in asking myself that question, I recall one of the first things we did upon getting confirmed and swearing in, after, of course, I prayerfully found my way to a very reliable, very supportive. I don't think I could have asked for a better person to be my counselor at that time than Petal Daniel Benwa. And we kept a Thanksgiving. And I remember the pastor at that time gave us a sermon, and she left with us the message. So when you see the hashtag, "One is enough," it is not by accident. It is, in fact, an assurance and a reminder that it was, in fact, divine. And therefore, when I stand and I thank God, is because I know He would have been the one strengthening us, carrying us, guiding us, instructing us, even when we made errors. It was a lesson in those errors to bring us to this point. And I just want to lift my hands in praise to Almighty God for what He has done in bringing me here. And as I give thanks, I want to thank, and you will recognize one of the things I've tried to do in my journey as a representative. While I have utmost support from my immediate family, my wife and my kids, my 2 children, daughter and son, is that I try to really keep them out of the limelight and protect them, because I understand how nasty politics can be. And when they cannot get to you, the first line of attack is your family. But I want to thank my family, my beautiful, loyal, faithful wife, and my son and my daughter for their support. And, you know, I call them my first line of prayer warriors, because I have many. But I want to especially thank and recognize, and Mom, I just want you to stand up tonight, because, and I also want, I think Daddy's here as well. I want to thank my parents who would have instilled in us. I come from a family of about 7, and we came from very humble beginnings in WIM. And, you know, what I've always said, while they didn't give us riches, they gave us a value that money can't buy. And one is to love, respect, and be honest in everything we do. And so that when I say Morris cares and 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐿 cares, is it because that has been inculcated into me from but a little child, about really being genuine about serving people, genuine. And my staff would tell you, my wife would tell you, that there's never too much for me to give, even if it means me giving my last. And, you know, I am WIM true and true in every sense of the word, because we started off in Backhill. So my formative years began in Backhill, and then we moved out the road. So there's not a home that I have not roamed. So the homes that I walk now and going to are the very homes that fed me, that made me who I am today. And then when you look at my community life, I attended the WIM Anglican School. I went to WIM Anglican when it was the old school right next to me, where we'll just wait till at that time school started at 9 a.m. and we'll wait for it to hear the first bell ring, and then we'll make our way up the road. And then I attended and finished my primary school at WIM as well. As an avid footballer and sports, I know Chief Secretary, perhaps he may recall a little bit of me. But while people may know me as someone involved in football, Daddy would tell you that anybody in WIM, and I think Pyle is somewhere here as well, they used to call me the Tobago Brand Lara, because at that very age, at Standard 4, I would have led the WIM Anglican School to the Tobago Primary School final up at Goodwood. And from there, at the age of about 9.5, 10, I was called for screening with Richard Murray and all of them at that time for zonal Tobago team, which had mainly more persons, around 12 or so. And, you know, so I started off in cricket, but then my elder brother Keston, he played football. Daddy was a coach, and I've always been around this WIM setup. And the beauty about my involvement in football, I didn't go no formal coaching school or so. I learned my football right up in the schoolyard. And I played with the bigger fellas like Shaky and Legs and all these guys. Poor little me. It was me and Papa at that time, because they had the little space down to the bottom. And it had to be real good to graduate to the bigger space up to the top. And very early, we were able to play in the big space. And so we proceeded and get along. I think I recall one time, though, I was influenced by Greville Nicholson to try my hand back in cricket, because I got a hip injury in football, and I was and Greville, along with Paggy at the time, came home and convinced me. And so that was my first interaction with Mr. Dennis when we traveled as a team to Barbados for the Sir Garfield Sobers cricket. So football and sports have always been part of me. I've always been in, as an academic as well, they would tell you, 𝐂𝐤𝐦 is someone who, I didn't eat book, but it was something that came very natural to me. And so I went on to Bishops. And from Bishops, I then went on to the University of North Georgia, where I read for my bachelor's in sociology and psychology. And then when I returned to Tobago, I then pursued my master's. But I want to share with you, and for the young people who might be listening, a quality of which I took from my primary school, our motto, perseverance wins. Because I remember when I got that athletic scholarship, and in my sophomore year, which is the second year, in the preseason, in the fall of that season, I remember at a practice session, I tore my ACL. And when I tore my ACL, because the scholarship is such that it's a small budget sharing amongst a number of persons, and because that would have had me out of the season, this college took the decision that they will not continue with the scholarship. And as I mentioned, coming from humble beginnings, I then had no choice but to return to Tobago. And I decided that I would work. And I started to work and save, work and save. And as soon as I was able to save enough to return, I decided to make that journey back to the very same school, University of North Georgia, to complete that degree. And I completed that degree with a second-class honors. And again, I want to thank my mother and my parents and my entire family for standing with me. So as I share part of my life with you, and as I continue to thank the person, I want to thank my immediate family, my aunts, my deceased uncle, in whom I retain a scholarship for the district called the Hamilton Samuel Scholarship of Perseverance, in keeping with my journey and the support that my uncle gave to me in my early formative years. And then to you, most importantly, the residents of Darrell Spring WIM. I mean, my pulse, it is raising right now for the level of support, the level of loyalty, the level of prayers that I know you have given to me. And I just want to thank you for your patience, for your understanding. And I really want to just say, as a community, I've seen our community grow together, come together even stronger over these 4 years. And I can assure you, if you think these 4 years was good, we have even better times ahead under the People's National Movement. So as I do this brief introduction, I simply want to leave with you the message that we are looking forward to a representation that will be e-powered. It's about empowerment for the young people in the communities of Darrell Spring, Idlewild, Pump Mill, Sanchez Hill, Lower Scarborough, WIM. The area is so diverse. WIM Development, WIM Estate, WIM Trace, School Hill, Back Hill, some of Plymouth Road, Dunvegan Road, Glen Road, Montpelier, Montmary, Smithfield. So you understand, we are such a diverse community, and there's so many small we have Summerhill, WIM Estate, Montgrace Heights. So it is so much to cover. And I can tell you that throughout this entire period, we have covered those areas on multiple times, because one of the things we had pride ourselves on, and it's coming from the training of 𝐂𝐤𝐦𝐿. For all who you don't know, I want to pay tribute to Assemblyman 𝐂𝐤𝐿, because I learned from her the real value of representation, which is really about people and staying connected with people. So I wanted to ensure that I built on that record of Mrs. Duke of not hearing from our resident. But we sort of just say earlier when election time. And so we made it our duty that we will never stop walking. And I'm sure my residents can attest to this, that they have seen us on numerous occasions in their community, keeping in touch, touching base. And again, so I just want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment, for your support. And I look forward to us walking this new period, this new era of empowerment, enlightenment, and enhancement for the electoral district of Darrell Spring WIM together as we put Tobago first, understanding that over the last 4 years, the TPP administration sold Tobago short, and Tobago does in fact deserve better.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our candidate, Mr. Kelvin Morris. Just a bit of a house announcement. PDZ 5493, PDZ 5493, and PDA 5682, PDA 5682. Please attend to your vehicles immediately. Thank you very much. So as we continue our conversations, Kelvin spoke about perseverance, and I must say, with perseverance, the People's National Movement will get back into office, and we will get back and do right by the people of Tobago, right? And I want to introduce now a leader, a young leader who continues to persevere, because before I came here, I had to take in all my PNM lives. And I saw a live with him somewhere up in the bush, in a road, following some farmers. And he continues to persevere on that matter where farmers are concerned. We have a division of agriculture that has fallen flat on its face. Nothing is happening in that division. Yet we have people parading around and they are unchallenged. Can you imagine that? They do nothing and they are being unchallenged. Nobody is challenging them. People are satisfied. We are not satisfied, and that is why we are here to continue our conversations tonight. So our persevering leader, Mr. Ansel Dennis, will now bring his remarks to us as we continue our conversations.
Thank you very much. Good evening to the people of Darrell Spring WIM. You're looking good. You are here in your numbers. You have filled this WIM Community Center in support of your boy, your assemblyman, who will continue to represent you after the next 𝐂𝐨𝐦 election. So it's a pleasure to be here in support of our candidate for this electoral district of Darrell Spring WIM. And for the last 4 years, I think all of us must admit that notwithstanding the fact that he has been in opposition as the minority leader, starved of resources, starved of opportunities, he has still been the best of the 15 assemblymen in 𝐂𝐨𝐦. And I could tell you that I've been following him closely on Facebook. We meet from time to time to talk about the approach as minority leader. And I am amazed to the extent by which this young man has grown over the last 4 years. And as we go forward, obviously to you, you should recognize that if he has been able to accomplish so much without resources, without the backing of a 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐻 executive because in the past, when we were in charge, we ensured that we worked with every single assemblyman. When it was 8-4, we worked with the 4. When it was 10-2, we worked with the 2. When it was 12-0, we worked with the 0. But we are now in a new dispensation of governance where this administration believes that they are the executive council of the TPP and the TPP members and supporters only. And it should be obvious to you that Mr. Morris, having been able to serve you, interact with you consistently, work on your behalf, represent you effectively, advocate for you so effectively, it should tell you that he will be able to do a lot more with our PNM in the Tobago House of Assembly, forming the executive. But over the last 4 years, it has been a period of learning, and I spoke about the learning and growth of your assemblyman. But it has also been a period of learning and growth for this political organization of the People's National Movement. And I know many persons would have written us off after 14-1. I myself heard conversations about the PNM being in opposition and doomed to opposition for 20 years. And that was always on the cards, that was always a possibility. But that should only be a possibility if the people who won 14 seats were able to give you a good first 4 years. And the fact that this first 4 years has been so dismal and has been so poor across every aspect, then I am certain that the PNM stay in opposition in Tobago will be only 4 years. Because I am confident in the fact that Tobagonians are right-thinking people, that Tobagonians are smart people, and that Tobagonians will always place their own self-interests above everything else whenever they go to the polls and vote. And I think the people of Tobago have been quietly evaluating, and the level of silence during this period has been unprecedented. The level of quiet observation has been like no other period, for the simple fact that a lot of Tobagonians are afraid to speak up. I know there are people who came to this meeting to support the minority leader and choose to remain outside. Go and open the door and you will see how many people are outside. Because they do not want to be seen in the company of good people. They do not want to be seen in the company of the People's National Movement for fear of retribution, for fear of victimization, and for fear of wickedness being meted out to them. So, Tobagonians, by and large, have been quietly observing what has taken place in the governance of this island. And during that quiet observation, Tobagonians have recognized first and foremost that you cannot trust the sitting chief secretary. He's not a man to his word. He's very dishonest. He is very loud. He is no. You don't have to worry about me. I choose my words carefully. He is very disrespectful, extremely disrespectful. And that kind of behavior pervades the entire team, because they are now conducting their screening exercise. And today I heard the Secretary of Health tell the people of Tobago that her honest evaluation of her performance for the last 4 years is 8.5 to 9. And I wondered if it was out of 100. Because, and I said it to the people of Belgarden last night, and I will repeat, for the simple fact that we were not live. So the people who are looking on now will have an opportunity to hear me talk just briefly about the current status of Tobago's healthcare and the fact that you, the people of Tobago, are in grave danger. We like to say now, and the people in that district, they have it as a slogan now, that faith without works is dead. Because the talk in that district is faith has not done anything for the last 4 years. And the reality also, and this may sound very grim and very morbid, but it is a fact, that based on the current situation in Tobago's healthcare, because of faith, people can die. And 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐦 is even saying that because of faith, people have died. And that might be the fact. And let me tell you this. In case you didn't know, this Secretary of Health, under her watch, approximately $60 million has been siphoned out of the Division of Health. And let me tell you how. And just work the math with me, please. They spent $18 million for 12 ambulances that are not available to you, and I'll come back to that. They spent $20 million to purchase 5 villas up at what you call up there, up in just behind the hospital. Those villas were sitting on the market since I was a little boy. Nobody wanted to purchase them. My information is that those villas have serious defects, serious plumbing issues, serious electrical issues. They sat there unpurchased. People from all over the world looked at those villas. Investors from the United States, people from the United Kingdom, people with big money from Trinidad, people from Tobago with money, looked at that villa or those villas and never found it necessary and wise to purchase it. But this 𝐂𝐨𝐦, this Division of Health, led by Faith Be Israel, found it appropriate to use $20 million of your money to buy those villas. To add insult to injury, after purchasing 12 ambulances that did not work, they spent another $9 million to lease 4 ambulances. They spent $12 million over the last 4 years on incineration services, on a facility that will burn and dispose of the waste from the hospital. The cost of a new incinerator is $500,000. So instead of buying one, they leased one for the last 4 years to the tune of $12 million. Now, those who are checking, how much is that so far? $60 million. That's the total. And $60 million could have purchased, let me tell you what that money could have done. It could have purchased 20 Ford or Isuzu ambulances. Not that we need 20, but it could have purchased 20 of those, because the Force brand that they paid $1.5 million for, and that is so defective that it cannot go up a hill, that all of them are parked up, some in Trinidad. The minority leader found one up in the bush in some part of Tobago. 2 more are up at the old hospital, 3 up at the old hospital, right? And none of them are available for use. We could have gotten very reliable Ford, 𝐂𝐸𝐦, or Toyota ambulances for half the price of that brand at $700,000 per unit. So we could have bought 20. Then we could have used the rest of money to buy a new MRI machine and a new CT scan machine for the Scarborough Hospital. And then we could have taken the balance of that money and ensure that the Roxborough Hospital was fully outfitted to be operated as a 24/7 full hospital facility. Currently, they're operating the hospital that the PNM built as a health center. That is what that $60 million could have done. And because that money was wasted away in corrupt schemes, and I'm saying it big, because the only explanation, and people of Tobago, for those of you who are research-oriented, do your research. Go to the Force website. It's an Indian company. And you will see that same ambulance unit on that website. You will see the price in lakhs and rupees, which is the Indian currency. The conversion is $39,000 per piece. That is $300,000, utilizing the highest possible exchange rate. If you want to be fair to them, we can add a $50,000 for shipping. And then we could add perhaps another $150,000 for outfitting it. Those ambulances should not have cost more than $500,000 each. Your THE administration spent $1.5 million each. And notwithstanding the fact that $60 million left the treasury in those wasteful schemes, you cannot get an MRI scan if you require it at the hospital now. You cannot get a CT scan if you require it at the hospital now. God forbid if one of you require medical intervention and we call the ambulance, none will come. And you will be better off getting into one of the vehicles and being taken to the hospital. We saw where a tourist, a visitor to this island, had a medical emergency in Pigeon Point, which is 15 minutes away from the hospital. With sirens, it will take probably 5 to 10 minutes, especially if it's the Ford that Claudia Groom bought, because those are very quick. That tourist laid there in the sun for 45 minutes plus, and there was no ambulance to come. Guess what that tourist will do? He will go back to his country, and he will talk about that experience, and the story in those countries will be that Tobago don't have ambulances. Do you think any visitor, and we're talking that we're serious about tourism, people traveling all over the globe, $25 million so far in overseas travel with between Tasha and the others, promoting tourism. But tourists could come here, fall ill, and we don't have an ambulance to pick them up, to carry them to the hospital in a reasonable amount of time that could save their life. Ladies and gentlemen, during a medical emergency, every minute, every second counts. And the faster you could get to the hospital, sometimes 2 minutes could save your life. 3 minutes could save your life. And the visitor had to wait 45 minutes, and there was still no ambulance. But it gets worse, because that is a visitor. What about your grandmother and your grandfather and your daughter or your son? Because these days, young people and all are falling ill with heart issues and stroke, which is something we need to deal with, and you will see it coming out in our vision for Tobago. Because while our vision is about promoting a wealthy Tobago, because we want young men like those sitting in those meetings to be able to benefit from a thriving Tobago economy and become wealthy. But it doesn't make sense you're wealthy and you have money to spend and you're not healthy. So it has to be a wealthy Tobago and also a healthy Tobago so that you could live long and enjoy the wealth and have a good life and enjoy yourself in beautiful Tobago. That's part of the division. That's part of the vision, sorry. But it gets worse because recently I visited a senior citizen in my electoral district. And I will always tell this story. It's about the third or fourth time that I'm telling this story. That lady suffered a stroke at 3 a.m. in the morning. Her caregiver called for an ambulance. They told her they had none available and they will call back. They never called back. She called again at 4 a.m. Still no ambulance. She called again at 5 a.m. Still no ambulance. She had to wait until day clean at 6 a.m. to go and wake up a neighbor to carry that 80-something-year-old woman to the hospital. It could have been you. It could have been your grandmother, your grandfather, your father, your daughter, or some loved one. The decisions made by this current assembly can potentially kill people in Tobago and have already killed people in Tobago. I'll go as far as saying that. So I'm saying to you that having evaluated the situation over the last 4 years, I have confidence and trust in the people of Darrell Spring that you will do the right thing come election day and ensure Mr. Kelvon Morris is re-elected as Assemblyman. But I also have the trust and confidence of the people of Tobago in closing. Because you have lived the 4 years, you have felt it, you have felt the difficulty in the Tobago economy. The farmers have felt the pain of not having one access road built for the last 4 years. Pantin, she took a break from bad talking Whitey. In her response to me and my video, mentioned a series of access roads projects. Ladies and gentlemen, all of those projects, every single one of them, were awarded under the previous administration. And you know what happened? When they got into office, they stopped all the projects to do an audit. After 2 years, when they could produce no audit, they asked all the contractors to restart the projects. Some of them were able to restart. Some of them, because of the 2-year break, have no chance of turning a profit on any of those projects. They did not execute one new access road project in this Tobago for the last 4 years. And farmers are suffering. Farmers are packing up shop, dung in tools, leaving the crops in the ground to rotten because they can't get to their farms. That is what is happening in Tobago. And I'm trusting you, the people of Tobago, to ensure that the next time around, you realize that one is not enough to properly run Tobago. And to properly run Tobago, you need Kelvon Morris. And I want to say 14 others. But you need the majority PNM to come back and put some respect on it. Thank you very much.
You know, when this pickup side came into office, well, they came riding a different chariots. You remember that, right? And they come in and they say, let me fix it. And now I have to say, well, let me fix everything that break down. Because all systems are breaking down. The healthcare system, breaking down. The roads, breaking down. The schools, breaking down. The tourism sector, breaking down. The private sector, breaking down. Even the own road that they build, breaking down. So everything in Tobago right now, breaking down under this Farley-led administration. And if they had to make a little audio clip of that, they could clip it and press ×2, breaking down. Everything breaking down. We cannot continue like this. Tobagonians, we have to get up. Wake up. Wake up, Tobagonians. You are hearing what our future Chief Secretary again has just said. How they are siphoning money easily out of Tobago. How much money they have sent back to our Trinidad, let me don't say our, but to Trinidad contractors. How much of that has stayed in Tobago? What is happening in Tobago? We are feeling the effects of it. We are seeing it when you go into Scarborough on a Friday. People don't even want a lime. Even the lime breaking down. We need to wake up and we need to tell them like it is, and we cannot be afraid to talk. It may not affect you, but it affects somebody else for us. We need to continue talking. Tobago deserves better, and we need to continue to put Tobago first. So, I see some of our candidates here, and I want to say a special good night and welcome you all to WIM, because you all are new to the area of WIM as candidates. And I want to say, don't let anybody shame all out of running for office, especially when you have a genuine passion to serve people in your community. Do not let them bully you. Don't let them attack you. Sometimes don't even go and read the comments at the still Kelvin. Don't go and read nothing they say. Say what you had to say, mean what you say, and stand up next to what you say. Once you know what you are saying is right, you do right by God and you do right by the people that you serve. Let them say what they want to say. That day coming, the numbers are being counted, the time is counting down. They have to go. We cannot keep them there. They have to go. So do not let them tell you anything. When they started telling about harvest, food and all them things, say, yes, I could cook and I want to continue cooking for my people. Don't let them bully you and pressure you to come out of this. We are not in this for the money. We are not in this for the opportunity. We are here to serve. And all of our candidates have a track record of service to people. I also want to take the time out to welcome our chairman, Mr. Larry Paul. Special good night to you. A man that is always here with us and has such a distinguished voice, a distinguishing voice, that he champions the cause of the People's National Movement in Tobago very well. So, again, I want to say a good night to our viewers. We have a lot of viewers listening, right? So good night to all our viewers on YouTube, on Facebook. Those that are in Tobago, Trinidad, and abroad, make sure when it's time to vote, you all come home and put your X by the balize. I need to put that there as well. So now we go into a question segment, right? You all know how it goes. Is it your left hand or your right hand? So we will do right hand tonight, right? So the mic is there, the mic is open. We are inviting you to ask your questions. If you do not want the camera on you, you simply raise your hand so that the cameraman will know not to put the camera on you. We want to preserve our followers as well. We don't want anybody to turn up in work tomorrow, because we realize people turning up in work and just getting letters, right? You know, we still have our families to feed. So we want you to come to the mic. If you are willing, you can state your name, say your question. If not, you just raise your hand and you ask your question. Is that fair, everyone? Everybody's good with that? Lovely. So I'll invite our first person to come to the mic.
Good night. As Mr. Dennis has spoke about ambulances and better healthcare and thing on the island. Um, where I work for the past years, I noticed that just in the airport, for who don't know, there need to be an in-house doctor. There's a lot of people falling sick, and sometimes the airport will call the fire service, and sometimes they take 15 minutes and they're right on the compound. So with the new airport, if it's possible, because under the Tobago Act, that THA have responsibilities within the airport and the port. So I was wondering if you guys can put an in-house doctor to assist the elderly and sick persons who are traveling.
That is something we could definitely look at. I think it is supposed to happen, but we have to take this island towards a more modern and innovative approach to healthcare and emergency response. I've traveled most recently to the US, and I was at a particular facility, a public facility, very popular facility, and I realized that at certain points, certain strategic locations, you have defibrillators in the wall and so on, which means that if anybody suffers a heart attack or cardiac arrest or anything like that, you have that immediately available to begin treatment immediately. The other thing is, ask the person next to you if they could perform CPR. Ask them. Ask the person next to you if they can perform CPR. And I'm not just talking about any old CPR, effective CPR. Because you may feel that CPR, you just put a person to lie down and you just press. But if you ain't pressing properly, you ain't doing nothing. Right? So you have to press the correct location, you have to apply enough pressure, and you have to ensure that the person is on a hard surface, or else the CPR wouldn't work. But simple things like these, we take for granted. I went through school, and I was never taught how to do CPR. We have to change that, right? Especially as a tourism destination where we're trying to attract visitors who want to see a particular level of healthcare because that is what they have available out there. And separate and apart from tourism, we want to ensure that our local people are equipped for those kinds of responses so that lives can be saved. Right? So those are aspects of healthcare that we are going to look into to ensure that we can have the best possible emergency response in terms of training people. We want to ensure that as many persons on the island as possible, even students at school, know how to respond to an emergency. Somebody might be at a villa, at a pool, God forbid somebody drowning, they must know how to respond to that. Or they're in the market and somebody collapses. Several people in the market must be able to respond to that. or in the cultural complex, something happens, a defibrillator must be close by. We could perform medical intervention, emergency intervention immediately. So those are some of the things that we will be considering. And I take the point about having a medical practitioner available to respond to emergencies in a place like the airport.
So we keep our questions going. Thank you so much for that solution. I've never thought about it, and I think that was a good recommendation. And this is why we need young people with innovative minds in our spaces, right? We have a question from online. So someone is asking, can you tell us more about the Blossom Can Foundation? So this is a question for Kelvon Morris. So Blossom, let me explain it as well. Blossom is a word that Kelvon would have made up using the letters BLAWSSUM, right? So I would allow him to explain what Blossom means, and I hope that you don't forget it and support the foundation as well. So Kelvon, go ahead.
All right, I would like to thank the online viewer for that question. Let me first, before I respond, recognize, because as much as you might see Kelvon Morris standing before you as a representative, what I have behind me is a very strong, dedicated, innovative, and loyal team. So I'd really want to recognize my district staff, some of whom I'm seeing here busy sharing out water. I'm seeing Lois, Nikisha, Monique, Linda. So I just want to recognize the district staff. Many of you would have interacted with them from the district, and I also want to especially recognize some young men who have built a very strong relationship coming out of Glen Road post the 2025 general election. So I want to recognize Okira and the young men from Glen Road. So Blossom Can Foundation is, again, because, you know, you have to pay tribute from whence you came. And that foundation was really started informally by former area representative Claudia Groom-Duke, and really it represents all the former core communities of the Black Rock Wim Spring Garden. So you'll have inside here Black Rock, Lower Scarborough, Annersville, Spring Garden, Wim, Union, Marysville, Montgrace. All right, and so that is where the Blossom acronym came from, but also it also symbolizes a district that is growing both in creativity, innovativeness, and of course, as well as growing in opportunities. So that we took from that informal foundation, and the members of the community created that foundation to support the work of the area representative. So as area representative, I work very closely with that foundation, and you have seen many fundraisers coming out from Blossom Can, whether it's food sale, and it also built on the district fund model, which was recommended to me by Mr. Vidal, in terms of having some kind of resource, because we always felt that representation should not simply be about you relying on the state to fund the things that you have to do for your community. And therefore, this foundation, they have been the driving force behind most of what we have done. Because if you listen to the other 14 representatives, notwithstanding that they are in government, they are telling you that they could not represent you. They could not perform because they who are actually in the executive they were starved for resources. And this is an administration that benefited from a record allocation of $13 billion I don't know if Tobagonians appreciate how much money is 13 billion. When you do the arithmetic, over that 4-year period, almost every Tobagonian household could have gotten $1 million. That is the value of $13 billion. Yet, when you look around the communities, whether you look at your roads, your infrastructure, your buildings and the upkeep, there's little to nothing to show that is new. They have not built one new community center. They have not built one new school. They have not built one proper road or drains. It has been poor. So when I talk to my young fellas there, and I wish Blossom Can had the kind of resources to employ people, because I would tell you, as I talk to the young men in and around the electoral district, where employment is a serious issue, and I know Chief will talk about, and I call him Chief because he is and will be our next Chief Secretary, will talk about the opportunities that we will be crafting specifically for young people who are currently unemployed and disillusioned. Even our returning scholars who cannot find jobs here in Tobago. We are actively ensuring that there are policies and programs in place to address that. But the Blossom Can Foundation, through their innovativeness, and I could share with you the hampers that you see, many of it is funded from the Blossom Can Foundation. The back to school program, where we are able consistently to provide bags and books for deserving families, Blossom Can Foundation. When you see us doing our sports and family day, it's the Blossom Can Foundation that we are collaborating with. So I want to thank that committee of the Blossom Can Foundation for your worthy support in helping us to help the communities of Darrell Springwood.
Good night. Bob is his name. I want to say something to the board candidate, Chief, and we want to get back the trade school. We want to get young people back into trade. This is something lacking right now. And I want the young fellas and them here who hearing me and who hearing me outside of this environment. Don't look for no early morning walk. When we win, we want trade men and trade women. Too much things is not happening in Tobago as we're supposed to get done. The trade school, Roxborough gone, Bonaccord gone. We had to build back that community spirit and young men with their bag on their shoulder going to trade school. We know they getting the fighting and fellas and things in school. We know where we could put them, send them in trade school. And when they start to learn something early. And let me try to get away from this early morning walk. You not get nothing named early morning. We spoil the thing. So we got to bring it back. So I want to say something again. So my God, but this I lie down on my bed, just yawn and I say I'm going to go on Facebook at the chief for me say. Are you there? Mount St. George? You not a wife? So I asking the question, but some of them road the way we they're doing, they really leave them to rotten, chief. Young men who is capable of building you and 4 others, always start to get all yourself organized, to build all yourself a company, so you can get some of them road. To build all yourself and employ other people. We're waiting. I understand they're going and take some of our land down in where they build some road and he name it after some people. And people be careful, eh? Get some road we name. If you look get bungs or look get anything or they take the road is not in works department as them name to go to the court. Although be careful, please. I don't laugh every day. Who boulevard and who wrong about and damn thing is not in works department and concrete done by the license office. I think I'm going right as the concrete thing. And I think the gazette. I think the gazette. I mean, me can read so well, you know, but I think me see that no way there. So I'll be careful when all get the accident. Chauvin Road, Plymouth Road, Glen Road, Bethel, 𝐂𝐸𝐬𝐲. These are the road on Gazette. So where we be careful. So Chief, I want to hear or let's say something on them trade school for them young people. Thank.
So vocational training and technical training is something that will be very pivotal to the development of Tobago going forward. And it is going to be an integral part of the PNM's vision. We strongly believe at this point in time that there is a need for us to completely review and overhaul our education system in Tobago. Because the reality is that every child in Tobago right now is pushed along one path. And that is academia, Spanish, English, sciences. You may have agri-science, very little opportunity until you go through the whole of secondary school. Right? Some children demonstrating throughout that period that they have no interest in academia, but they might be good with their hands. They could be a good plumber, a good electrician. And guess what? And this is not to bash anybody with degrees, but a lot of people go through school, they get a degree, let's say in sociology, and they go and work in the theater as a social worker for $10,000 or $12,000 a month. Do you know how much a plumber can make in Tobago if Tobago is run properly? Do you know how much a small contractor, I'm even talking about the large contractors, do you know how much a small contractor could make in Tobago if Tobago is run properly? More than an early morning job. A plumber could make that. An electrician could make that. The problem is, if you take all of Tobago's resources and all the spending that the THA is engaging in and put it in the pockets of Trinidadians who do not hire the same Tobagonians, then you could have all the trade school you want and you could do all the technical programs you want. Those people will not have opportunities. So everything is connected. So it's easy for me to tell you that we're going to bring back the trade school and we're going to reform Tobago's education to place more emphasis on that. But I'm also telling you that we will not do what the current administration is doing. We will ensure that every cent of Tobago's money is spent in a way where every contractor that could do a project in Tobago will do the project in Tobago and employ Tobagonians. Because only when that happens can the tradesmen benefit, because a contractor will hire them, or because the money is circulating and people have it in their pocket and business booming and people making money. You're going to have private projects going on. Somebody go expand their house. Somebody go put up an apartment building. Somebody will put up a commercial building. That is how you drive an economy. And I said this to a young lady, and I didn't think about it until I got home. She was asking me about cosmetology and if I think it makes sense. I said, yes, it makes sense. I know some nail techs and eyelash technicians and wax, people who do wax and that kind of stuff, making serious money. But here's what. There was me as your potential chief secretary encouraging that young lady to pursue that path, right? She didn't make it with the physics and the chemistry and the biology and so on. So I'm encouraging her, pursue that path, cosmetology, as a potential chief secretary. And it dawned on me that the current chief secretary has taken decisions to extract all the opportunities from indigenous Tobagonians to give them to his friends from Trinidad. And it dawned on me further that by doing that, 2,000 plus Tobagonians, which includes laborers, masons, carpenters, electricians, who found work with those Tobago contractors, lost their jobs. Those 2,000 people who now have no jobs, guess what? They don't have the kind of disposable income that they had before. And if that continues, where the money coming from for people to go and do nails and for people to go and do hair? You as a young man, you are an electrician, you working for, let's say, $500-600 a day. And when the month come, you have money. You going home in your house like a big man and you're counting out the money on the table. This is for nails, baby. This is for eyelash. This is for eyelashes. This is to do your hair. And when that is done, and the ladies have the money to go out and do the hair and the eyelashes and look nice and the nails, and only then will that young lady that I was talking to benefit from pursuing that cosmetology. But when young men in Tobago are emasculated, they lost their work and they're frightened to go home because they don't know where they're telling wifey. No money to do our nails. No money to even put food on the table. And now I'm saying everything is connected. The trade school, the cosmetology courses, those will only make sense if you have an administration that will spend Tobago's people's money in a way that it will develop and create opportunities for the people of Tobago. That's the point I want to make.
Add, as we are in the community of WIM, and one of the vision of the People's National Movement through our former representative, 𝐂𝐸𝐦𝐬𝐿, and while we would have had challenges, you will recall there's the WIM Multipurpose and Skill Center, which was also to fuel that vision of ensuring that we have skilled, trained young people, especially right here in the village of WIM, because when Mrs. Duke started with that vision, it was because there was a serious social problem, which there was a rise in criminal activity. And when we engaged with the young men, the young people in WIM, they indicated that they wanted something to keep them occupied. And therefore we felt, because at the time WIM didn't have a direct center of recreation, no football field, etc., we decided that we will build that multi-purpose facility along with the skills training aspect to ensure that we can upskill our young people. And therefore, once we decided on that skill center, the PNM in 2021, that skill center was about 90% delivered. And we are in 2025. And while the 𝐂𝐸𝐴𝐻 handed over that skill center over 1 year ago, the people of WIM and environs and of Tobago, we are still unable to utilize that facility because of the incompetence of this current administration. I could assure you the members and villagers as priority number one as your area representative. We will ensure that whatever is required to have that facility available is done with alacrity and as a priority so that we can upskill young people right in the village of WIM.
You are on the topic of initiatives. We have a question, or I'll take the young man on the floor first.
Good night, good night. Good night, future chief sec. Good night, here, representative. Well, I just want to thank Mr. Morris, first thing first, for working with me and the youths and them around the village as well. I know resources a little tight and such forth, but he been doing his best, to make sure certain things happen for us in our village as well. We just try to always keep our little community vibes. And why I was always try to show people, because now the youths and them might didn't really want to deal with somebody ageable, because they might deal with them harsh, because so often just turn away road. You understand? And I just want to see they get a little certain more things where they could be occupied. As he was now saying, it are certain youths, and all I was listening to Uncle was talking a little while and saying that they've been trade school, but it are youths right now presently who right here with certain skills and assets and certificates to show, but can't get work to really sustain it. You understand? And I hear you say, well, don't go to the early morning, but at the point in time, that might all somebody might be to have, to pull back on. So all I asking for you to do is to seek the youth, because at the end of the day, it's them is the people, and them is who will come to be where we is today. You understand? So that's all I really asking for, right?
And what he mentioned there is extremely important, because it's the cry across Tobago that people have skills and they're not getting opportunities. And in some cases, people had opportunities and the opportunities have been taken away. A guy said to me in Bethel recently, up by Big Dog, that he could vividly recall that when the PNM was in office, at one point he could have gotten up on any morning and choose at least 5 job sites on projects being executed by Tobagonian contractors on behalf of the THA, and all of them were within close proximity to him. He could have afforded to get up, pick one out of the 5, go on that walk, make a $400 for the day, spend out that money the night by the bar, get up next morning and say, well, me ain't feel to go work today, I ain't going. Fire that one work there. The following day, go on a next one, totally different work. Jump in on that, make a $400 again. He says now today, as he was speaking at the time, which was a couple weeks ago, for the entire 4-year period, only one such project existed in close proximity to his community. And that was the refurbishment of the hard court down at Montgomery, which took place when? That was last year or last year. So it wasn't until 2024 that one opportunity by a local contractor presented an avenue for a young man in close proximity to that community to get a day work, to go out and utilize his skills. Under the PNM, we will ensure that we fix that, where all the jobs. And in fact, let me tell you this. Previously, under the previous administration, we started a program called the Community-Based Infrastructural Development Program, where we had identified $25 million. And we made a decision to spend that $25 million across the various electoral districts, restrict the projects to the small contractors, the new contractors with under 3 years of experience, because the project prices range from $500,000 to $200,000 within that range. And give those projects to those small contractors to execute within their community. So we had a situation where a young contractor, now up and coming, could have benefited from that. Tender for the project, get a 50% mobilization, employ 6, 7, 8, or 9 young men from that immediate area to go and execute that project, whether it was a drain or a retaining wall or whatever it was. We intend to reintroduce that project. And we will increase the spend on that project, that program, from $25 million a year to $50 million a year. And let me repeat, that program is specifically targeted to the small contractors. So the big contractors, the large ones who could execute projects for 10 million and up, will not be allowed to tamper with that small food. So the final thing I will say is that the young men especially, I want you all to prepare yourselves for that, right? Organize yourselves, especially if you have skilled men around you. Go to 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐦's office. We have some candidates out there as well that are willing to help. If you don't know the process to register your business, seek help, get the documents in order, register your companies. And once you have a registered company, especially those who call themselves leaders in the community, register your companies and position yourselves to benefit from that program. And then once you benefit, of course, you're not going to go to Trinidad and South Trinidad and pick 3 or 4 people and bring them up here to do the jobs, like what the Trinidad contractors are doing. Those young men right around you in your community who rally with you, those are the people you're going to employ and create opportunities for. So I'm saying prepare yourselves for that program that will be coming back under the next PNM administration.
Kieran or Kira's point, and it's something I share with the young people, and I just want to share with Tobago real quick. The disparity in how opportunities are shared amongst the electoral district. You would hear of something called 10-on, 10-off. And very early when young people kept advocating for employment, that was something I put forward as a possible way of giving them some level of hope, because at that time, you were hearing from the young people that there was nothing happening for them. And so that program came on. The very first time I got a call, my office got a call, and we were invited to recommend 15 persons. That went on for a short period, and then I think it was during the Christmas, and a couple months thereafter, the program was paused, suspended. The program restarted, and you would think that at least you would restart with the 15 persons from the district who had the opportunity before. That program restarted, and when we did our checks, only 1 person was brought back on. We kept writing to the secretary and to the division. And in the meantime, when young people from my district go to directly to the division of infrastructure, they are being told the program is managed through the area rep office. So go back to your area rep and sign up. I'm sure the young men here could attest to that. And so they are being told it is your area rep. While we are sending the names, we are being ignored. Only to the secretary in the house, when the question is asked, how do you all choose the people for this program? He called about 350 names from Darrell Spring Wim. And we could tell you without any fear of contradiction, after perusing the list, they had took 0 from our list that we sent, even though the secretary got up in the house and said it is through the area representative office from which they take the name. So how did they get that 350 names? And where did they get it from? Certainly not from the area representative, but you had persons who weren't even elected taking down names for URP, taking down names for daily paid. And so this is how they treated your area representative. But we can guarantee and leverage to you that there will be opportunities under the People's National Movement that will not so discriminate because you are supportive of one color over the other.
So I'd like to invite one more question off the floor.
Good night, Good night, everybody. Name Selwyn Archer. Name Selwyn Archer. I want to say something tonight after I will ask a question. It has hurt me sometimes. First, I must say thanks to Mrs. and Mr. Morris to give us 𝐂𝐤𝐦. Thanks very much. It has hurt me sometimes when I hear people talking about 10 on, 10 off. I work in Works Division for about 47 years. And I know what 10 on, 10 off mean. 10 on, 10 off was a crash program thing we had. A crash program thing. And I want to say 10 on, 10 off is when they want to take advantage of you. That's how they bring 10 off, 10 on, 10 off. I want to warn the young people and some mothers. This is a silly season. And come December, you always see trucks with toys and all kind of foolishness for your children. I wouldn't say not to take the toys. Anything they give you, take it. But just keep your head on your shoulders. Mr. Dennis, a question. This question could be for any one of you. You know, we had something we were talking about the autonomy. Why I bring up the autonomy is because when that bill was produced, Mr. Morris, all of us was in the house when they produced the bill. When the first part of the bill passed, they started to shake one another hand and say, well, Tobago will get the autonomy. Saddam Hussein asked for 5 minutes break. And when they came back, the autonomy gone. No autonomy. And I sat down home and heard the Prime Minister in the house where 𝐂𝐤𝐦, all of them sit down. I don't know if 𝐂𝐤𝐦 reponed the desk after. When this woman is saying that we don't have to get no bill to get more money. Well, Mr. Dennis, the question is, when you become the chief secretary, I want to know if you will continue with the autonomy bill, or you'll just take what the Prime Minister says, you don't have to have no bill to get more money. And I know that is foolish.
The last time I checked, I went to primary school. I had very good teachers. A favorite teacher of mine was a man from Blacktop called Quilton Calendar. And another favorite was Joyce Prescott. And even in primary school, they taught me that 6.8% is more than 5%. And therefore, I have absolutely no doubt that we, the people of Tobago, will be far better off than we are now with autonomy, especially based on the version of the bills that were put to the parliament under the former PNM government. And I want the people of Tobago to back me and to back the PNM by first giving us the majority in the THA. And that majority in the THA will give us in the PNM the authority to speak on your behalf and to tell Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her government that we want the autonomy bills back in the parliament, and the PNM in the opposition will be prepared to support it, and we want her UNC government to support it as well. Because we had them where we want them, because they have signaled in the past that they are prepared to listen to somebody from Tobago. Because in 2021, they ignored me when I was Chief Secretary representing the voices of Tobago and decided to listen to Farley Augustine and 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐿𝐴 and did not support the bills then. Another opportunity came in December of 2024. Mr. Archer was right. The first bill was passed. Then the parliamentarians received a WhatsApp message from the Chief Secretary, your Chief Secretary, who ignored that process from 2021 to 2024, said nothing about autonomy, did no consultations with you, the people of Tobago, made no efforts to further the process. But when the bill came, his next act was to get on his phone and send a WhatsApp message to the parliamentarians telling them not to support the bills. And by that action alone, you, the people of Tobago, have been robbed of $7 billion in additional money to spend on your development. You, the people of Tobago, have been robbed of having a THA, a Tobago House of Assembly, with real lawmaking powers to make laws for the good governance and order of this island that we all love. Through that action alone, the THA still does not have the authority to borrow. Through that action alone, we continue to only control administratively 6 nautical miles. The bills would have had us control 11 nautical miles administratively and lawfully. But your Chief Secretary decided that it was not in his political interest to have the bills passed at that time. I'm saying put the PNM back into office. Once you do that, we will immediately bring the case back to the parliament, and the government currently led by Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar will have no choice but to listen to who you elect to speak for you, the people of Tobago.
Good night. Good night. So look me out your trouble all the thing now. Short people. Good night, everybody. I'm not going to introduce myself because everybody knows who's speaking. I am from Mason Hall, but I am a bred of Mr. Morris Village, Wim. Who don't know me by the bread of what I am missing ball daughter. Right? One of them, not all of them, one. Mr. Morris, the question is for you tonight. I'm bothering you every day, every week. Is that true? And you're not helping me with that project at all. It's not a project about me. It's about what I'm looking for and for other people who is constantly annoying me. That marketplace. What are we doing to Scarborough Market? No, the Tobago people of the PNM spent so much money, develop it, and they brought us back there. The new government come now, which is taking over. They have representative, and up to now, I do not know who is in charge of that market as the person, as a minister, or who it is. Whether it is from my village or anywhere, I do not even know. Complaints up and down. The market is in a desperate state. It needs attention, right? I am not a little girl anymore. I'm a big woman now, and I'm going to go to my older part now. But I would not give up until my journey is ended. I am still fighting up with my little penny and my cent because I don't have a left hand. I am a right-hand stander. Okay, you should understand. All people know those stuff. I am Jean and Jean alone. And if I need help, I have to do my little penny to get it. And if I have to get it, I have to hide because they may take the other one they're giving me. Okay? And if we have to do it, now look at this thing. A little lady talk here this night at the airport business there. That airport wouldn't be opening up. When I try to ask them how much it will cost, well, you hear what they said? I don't know. But the price the man is putting. If I am to make 10 penny ball for 10 cents, I am giving away $2,000. Right? Champion. Right? I am giving away 10 balls for 10 cents because I will have to pay $1,000 to sell 10 cents. As cruise ship is coming in the time now, no place at all in Tobago here or at Scarborough to even accommodate the people that you all train in the community centers. I train some of them. They're coming to me, Miss Jean, where to help, where are we going to get it sold? What can I tell them? I say, go to Mr. Morris or go to Mr. Dennis. That is my people. I don't know about the others. Am I wrong? Well, I need the help from you now. Try and help us. Let them do something. Help the people. The market people is complaining too. I don't know if they don't want to talk, but I'm speaking for myself. You have the countertops where we have to put the things. What we have to do is fan the flies. The cupboards built there for 4 years. They cannot open because the fella come and put a lock on all of them. If anybody come, they play with the things on the table. Health is a bad cutting. Handling things and doing all these things. I was being trained in that condition. We need some help in that market. If it have a representative, let us see or speak to them and let them come to hear what is our grievances in the market. That is where I am trying to make my little last living. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jean. And of course, notwithstanding you making the pleas and so forth, what this also demonstrates is the lack of leadership in the division of food security and the fact that they have not really taken the marketplace to where the PNM would have left it, because, you know, we would have invested in upgrading the market, and it's sad to see where they have allowed it to go. So we'll continue to advocate on your behalf, but at the end of the day, we can do so much in advocacy, but for the implementation, it has to come from those who are entrusted with the governance of the island right now, and that falls under the Secretary of Food Security.
Pleasant good night to the brothers and sisters that sit here tonight, all protocol observed. Mr. Morris, I'm not here to ask a question, but I'm just here to continue endorsing you. And before I endorse you, I have a little gift for you because I think you deserve to be honored. Now, I want to say God moving in mysterious ways, wonders to perform. He plants his footstep on the sea and he rises upon the storm. I don't want you to get jealous. So, Mr. Morris, let me share the gift with them now. And then I will endorse you. Please open the gift. And I want you to call exactly what is written on those pieces of paper. And then I will endorse you. And I will give you the reason why I'm standing here very proudly to continue to endorse you, Mr. Morris.
Well, I spoke the other day about, in a different place, about a different thing. But now I'm here with some letters. I don't do love letters either, but
I know. But I would like you to call the letters. I want you to call the letters.
We
out
have some
to the public.
letters here.
Look
A,
at them.
B, C, D, and E. So I'll allow the goodly gentleman to explain what these letters are about.
Well, Mr. Morris, I was taught that the vowels are A-E-I-O-U. But I see for your 4 years, you rewrite the vowels. So I will start with A. They told us that A is for apple. But I'm saying tonight, A is for ambition. And you would have invoked the spirit of ambitiousness to the people of Tobago. I will say B, because B stands for bat, also for behavior. And what I have seen over the 4 years, that you would have invoked the spirit of behavior. They tell us C is for cat. So we go to the letter C, and they say C is for cat. But you have invoked C, A for ambition, B for behavior, C for conduct. And this is the way you have cried yourself for the 4 years in the House of Assembly. What's your next letter?
D.
And they say these for donkey, these for dog, but I say these for discipline. And you continue to invoke the spirit of discipline within the assembly.
Oh, Lord.
Within the assembly, and to all the young men who are now preparing to stand as armor bearers for the people's national movement. What's your last letter, Mr. Morris? E. They see E is for ear, E is for egg. I was taught that E is for etiquette. And up to this day, I have not seen anyone within the 14 members of the House invoke that spirit. The reason why I give you this gift, and I want you all to pay attention, I met Mr. Morris in 2001. I became a soldier for the People's National Movement under Ms. Groom-Duke. And I saw this young man grow from strength to strength. There were many times that Ms. Groom couldn't climb the hill, but Mr. Morris will climb it. There were many times that Ms. Duke, because she was a saltfish, she ran all over the place. I had the opportunity to speak to this young man and admire him. And after speaking and admiring this gentleman, he came to me on his first venture into politics. Am I lying, Mr. Morris? We had a conversation, and after this young man spoke to me, I gave him my all. And the reason why I gave him my all, because many are called but chosen are few. They say what was hidden from the wise and the prudent will reveal to the babes and suckling. I want to congratulate you. I want to continue to endorse you. I also want to remind you of a biblical story of the Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar. God had appointed him to be a leader, servant for the people. And what he did, he became what? Greedy, power hungry, and he forgot that his job was to serve the people. I am endorsing you tonight. I am congratulating you. And all I'm asking you, Mr. Morris, to do is continue to be a true servant leader for the people of Tobago, also the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
Hi, good evening. You all will realize I'm from Trinidad, but they call me Trinbagonian.
That's right.
I came here when the port was in a dilapidated state. I was one of the persons helped them to get the finance and get the port how it's looking now, and fall in love with this place and decide, you know, I could retire here. Meeting former THA, they tell me money is for Tobagonians. I smile it off because you will never know when I vex, so I smile it off. My brother was there with me and he said, why you answer them? I said, they must never read me. I went along. My neighbors told me about the drain in the back by me. I met Mr. Morris and he called my name. I didn't know him at the time. He called my name. He said, I understand you're the owner here and this kind of thing. I'm going to make sure you're going to get your drain done. There and behold, material was there for my drain. It was the neighbor before me got through. Election come. Material there, it disappeared. After a month when I met Mr. Morris now, well, we introduced. I said, what's your name? I keep seeing you. What's your name? And he told me his name. I am the representative for this area. I smiled. He know more about me than I did know about him. Somehow or the other, I don't know. But again, I came from Trinidad, from under PNM. The Mount Hope area, I was there assisting. So maybe on the system, I don't know how it goes. That's all I can tell you. But I decided was to keep quiet. I wrote numerous times about the water to the back. I visited his office. Something I did not want to do. I end up on television because of the fact of the water. Now, I was experiencing it. I invite my neighbor here tonight. Reason being is, she was forced to move out of her house because water undermining. Now, hear the joke. I make appointment. I meet with Mr. Nurse, Mr. Farley, assistant. I have no problem in calling him because they can't fire me. And I don't owe them. So I can speak freely. I got back onto Mr. Morris and I relayed to them and whatnot. He said, well, you know how it goes. I said, certainly. If you pick up the slack and you're running the Tobago in the house now, you should continue the work. But they intend to spite us in Crown Tray, Spring Garden. Call me for a meeting. I meet him in church, for the matter of fact, because I'm Adventist. So he supposedly is one too. I don't know. This is what they say, right? Met him in church. Hi, Mr. Ross. We have meeting Monday for 11 o'clock. I said, certainly, I'll be there at 10. When I got there and I asked, they say, well, on Mondays, you don't come in. I said, excuse me? No, it was a big showdown, because he meet me in front of the president and the pastor. Hi. I said, yes, certainly. I met him at other functions. They do your drain yet? You get on the phone, Sabbath, No, he's supposed to be Adventist. You get on the phone and you call him. I wouldn't call that person name because when they won, that person reached by me this Sunday in the 3/4 pants. Click, click, taking pictures. Yeah, man, we go fix this for you. This is what we're here for. But somehow in my skin, it didn't register. But all I tell myself when I go inside, well, let me see, they go put your mouth where your money is. You understand? Because I work under the PNM and I know the PNM stand for quality. And I came to Tobago and I met the same quality. Nothing has changed. You understand? Our former Prime Minister and myself fall out. And he turned around and tell me, see, you have mouth to work with us because you intend to talk the truth and truth alone. This is how I was brought up. They put me to sit down and the assistant taking notes on me
and writing. So I asked him, I said, what is the reason of this? Well, when my boss come, I'm going to give it to him. This was, if I can remember, May month. What month we are now? No, well, again, kind of old, so help me out.
November.
You understand? So this is what? Her house, she had to evacuate. The pillars crack, and after a period of time, she get up one morning and the floor soft. She called me and tell me, girl, I went to the bank to see, because I really need to do something about the house. The bank turned around and tell me, get that drain fixed first. The drain doesn't belong to us. It's former contractors, way beyond 2017. Inverts. If you know what the inverts, what it's shaped like, they're dilapidated. And it's that we asking them to come back and rebuild. Mr. Morris was trying, but change of government, I remind them of it. I show them a picture of the truck. Because that Saturday morning, for some reason, I didn't go to church. Picture of the truck with a sort of noise, moving the steel and the balance of cement, zoom, up the road. I explained to them there was material. What about the job? Well, we're going to make 1 or 2 phone calls and da-da-da-da. That is from the first month of them in office to now. I don't know if the material go on New Zealand or wherever. It just can't come back. And he had provided for that. What Mr. Ansel is saying about the ambulance and thing, all you don't know. But all that he's saying is true. All vehicles, if you go under the dashboard, you're meeting cobweb from wherever country they come from. The mechanical can't work. Friday gone here, some friends of mine came from Trinidad and they're stranded. And I say, here what? All you're going on the boat this evening, right? Let me take all you by the beach. Take them down to Legacy. Somebody there went in the water because the water was rough and collapsed. I saw, and the next friend of mine, we started to pray for the person. I said, call the ambulance. Check the time. 10:45 to 12:15, that is when the ambulance come. I told them, find out if that person is diabetic, because the signs that I was seeing, that person had to be diabetic. Turn them on the side and try to keep them going. You say you're bringing the ambulance. You could tell me all of them outside. No, but they park up all over the place because they can't work. Have a blessed evening. Season greetings. Keep the red going.
Okay. The residents in Spring Garden Chase, they were quite fortunate at the time because the project started, but then this incoming administration halted the project. As a matter of fact, I think the contractor remains unpaid for those works. And that is when we say that this administration has been one blacklisting our Tobago-based contractors, and not just blacklisting, but bad treating them as well. Because you could imagine having done works in 2021 and we are in 2025 and you are still waiting for payment. And that is why we are seeing so many challenges with respect to family life, etc. because one impacts the other. These contractors then had to relieve hundreds of workers. And I did the analysis. They have let go about 1,500 to 2,000 workers in the construction sector. And just think about that. If a family on average carries about 4 persons. That is 8,000 Tobagonians whose lives have been adversely impacted by the wicked hands of this corrupt TPP administration.
Right, and I want to especially give thanks to the love note. I like it. The ABC, DE, ambition, behavior, conduct, discipline, and etiquette. Kelvin, you hear that from me again. Because this dispensation of the THA is lacking in the common ABCs. Imagine they're showing up for screening, but they're not even showing up for work. They're showing up in plenary sitting, but they're not answering no questions posed by the minority. They are giving no accountability to the people of Tobago. Some of them don't even know if they are secretaries, secretary of where, secretary of what. So they promise to do a lot, but delivered nothing. Matter of fact, right now we have a secretary in Bethel. I always say he's the secretary of food and entertainment because all he does do is eat and sing in funeral. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time that we take action because Tobago deserves better. The PNM will restore good governance to our country, and not just in Tobago, because look at what is happening in Trinidad. The PNM will restore integrity in office, something that they know nothing about. The PNM will restore what the TPP has failed to build or fix, as they have said. But we need you. We need you to continue to come out to these community meetings. We need you to continue speaking on behalf of those in your communities who cannot come out and speak for fear of victimization. We need you to support your candidates. Please support your PNM candidates. Continue to support this great party called the People's National Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for coming out to our community meeting tonight. We ask that you go home to your families safely. We are in the village of 𝐂𝐻𝐦, might I add, and this is one of the most hospitable communities because it is run by your area representative, Mr. Kelvin Morris, so I believe you will be refreshed as well. So do have a blessed evening. Thank you for coming out, and we look forward to seeing you in our next community conversation. Good night.